Welcome to the Friday Reload number 13. I'm your host, of course, Sweeney, and this will be for the week of August the 1st. So what better way to kick off August than with another Friday Reload? Now, some of the major headlines this week are the most underutilized but most valuable email you send, analyzing 1 million headlines, 252,000 views from LinkedIn publishing in 1 month. And if this is your first Friday reload, know that what we aim to do is get you caught up on what you might have missed in the week by cutting through the fluff and summarizing the best posts, news, and videos of the week. So this week is it's a pretty meaty week. We have a lot of different stories, but kind of some of these last weeks I've had a lot more selection, whereas less quality, I would say maybe. Whereas this one is really kind of just focused on a few different stories and really digs into these different stories. So that being said, let's start it off. So first off, we have behind the scenes of a 6-figure launch and generating over 118K in 1 month from Facebook ads. So this comes to us from us, of course, and this was our most recent Triggercast, episode 7 with Nishant, and he broke down with us. He discussed a few things, but he's definitely an expert when it comes to Facebook advertising. What he also recently did was he had his first product launch, and it did 6 figures. So he's never done a product launch before, at least not a major one, definitely not a 6-figure launch. So he shares with us some of the insights that he learned along the way. Now, also spending so much money with Facebook ads, he's seen a lot of different mistakes, and this is one of the things we covered in a short cast, the 7 mistakes or the 5 mistakes that a lot of people make with ads. So we had him kind of do a live demo of how he sets up his ads, and he also shared some of the repeated mistakes that he sees people make. We created a free cheat sheet for you guys called the 7 mistakes people make with Facebook ads that ruin campaigns and how to fix them. If you head on over to digitaltriggers.io/7mistakes, so digitaltriggers.io/7mistakes, you can check that out if you'd like. Now on to the next story. This one, I switched up the headline a little bit if you're watching video-wise, and this one is the most underutilized but most valuable email you send. So, quick scenario here. You have a new visitor that buys your product or opts in for a lead magnet. They're excited for the product, or whatever they're getting, and they gave something in exchange. They paid for it, gave their email, gave their phone number. Now, what do they get next? A bland, boring welcome email that just kind of feels dead. You're now on the list. Hey, I'm going to pound you with my emails. Now, that's not the way that we want to keep up the excitement level or a good inbox first impression. I mean, this is the first time they're welcoming you into their inbox, into their home, and you didn't bring anything. You didn't do anything nice. So, Unbounced covers creating better welcome emails in this post. Now, they say the welcome email should get leads acquainted with your brand and also set expectation for what's to come. If you want to check out a good example, I'm pretty proud of our welcome email series. So if you sign up for our email list, you can check that out. If for some reason you don't want to sign up for our email list, I can't off the top of my head think of any other really great welcome email sequences I know of. So I'm going to have to say I'm sorry there. You can sign up if you like. But anyways, back to the point, back to you. Now, these welcome emails play an important part in your growth. So they show an image here, the growth funnel. So the top level, so it's a pyramid going down, and the top level is acquisition. Next is activation, landing pages. Next is retention, welcome emails. After that is revenue, and then it goes back up to the top with referrals. So welcome emails are a very important part of the process, and if you are not convinced, which is understandable because, hey, welcome emails, it's one of those things that just gets overlooked, right? You already got the sale. You already got the lead. What do you need with this welcome email? Well, the reason why they're so important is because Unbounced states they generate 4 times more opens and 5 times more clicks than regular campaign emails. Clay Collins recently talked about one of the most underutilized pages on your website is the thank you page. After they buy, after they opt in, people aren't utilizing it. Well, the welcome email is in the same exact vein. So we know that welcome emails are important now. What are the 5 ways we can make sure our welcome email inspires leads to take action? Number 1, follow the 3 principles of subject line writing. Now, emails are most likely to fall into the category of utility, curiosity, or specificity. Specificity. I don't know why I'm stumbling on that one. Now, these have been proven to be the 3 best subject lines. Utility is, they kind of know what they're getting, like, their login details or something to that effect. Or here's your travel details. Curiosity is, hey, they're curious. They want to open it up. They're interested. They're wondering what's happening. And then being specific, that's something that Daniel Pink found, that vague subject lines, such as improve your golf swing, were open less frequently than ones offering a specific promise. 4 tips to improve your golf swing this afternoon. Now next, encourage interaction. So number 2 is to encourage interaction. So welcome emails are a great way to get replies and build interaction with your subscribers. So first off, make sure you ditch that whole do not reply if you haven't yet. I think that is just ridiculous to have the do not reply. People should be able to reply to your emails. You want people to reply to your emails. And then you also want to make sure you throw in some personality and you sign them from a real person. A big thing in this social media generation is show me a face, give me a name, like let me feel that you're a human being. No one wants to interact with these gray wall companies, as I call them. We want to interact with cool companies that feel like real people. Number 3 is to include a simple call to action. So one of the examples they use here, they say don't overload the email with tons of call to actions. They have an HP email that just is like, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. It's too much. It's too much. There's too much going on. Whirlpool recently did a test where they reduced the number of call to actions in one of their emails from 4 to 1. They found that their click-through rates increased by 42%. So focus on one specific goal and make it clear what the next step is. Number 4 is to show, don't tell. So take your emails out of plain text. Now they use an example of a few different companies, for example Fab, and basically use a lot of white space and minimal design, nice minimal design, to reinforce the goal that you've chosen for your lead. And the last one, optimize for mobile. Now I know this might seem like the mobile preaching to the choir, but according to a study by Litmus, 38% of all emails are opened on smartphones or tablets. And then another survey says that bad mobile emails, it's if you get a mobile email that doesn't look good, what do? And over 80% of consumers, especially in 2013 now, delete it. They just delete it. That's what they do. They delete it. So the point here is this welcome email is going to go out to a lot of people. A lot of people are going to open it, and a lot of people are going to click it. So we want to keep mobile in mind because a lot of people are going to see these emails from their phone. So make sure you optimize for mobile. Preview your welcome email on your phone. I mean, that's one of the easiest ways you can do it. Double check. I know before I send out an email, I always send it to myself, and I double check the links. And even then, sometimes you send out an email and it's got a broken link. It happens. Next up, we analyzed nearly 1 million headlines. Here's what we learned. So Garrett Moon, founder of CoSchedule, teamed up with Noah Kagan over at OKDork to drop off this great post where he analyzed data from 1 million different blog headlines. Now, the final data set that he ended up kind of narrowing down on was posts that were English only and received at least 100 shares. So we're going to learn what makes these high-performing headlines work and how we can apply it to our own content. Now, a quick note, if you're watching this, if you're not, I'll read it to you. They have a question, and then in the middle they have this blue button, and the question is, lazy, Get the top 10 headlines cheat sheet. This is a specific opt-in. We've talked about this, and these do extremely well. I mean, I opted in, and it was a seamless process. And I got to say, the lead magnet was quite underwhelming, but I'm sure it works very, very well. All right, so back to the headlines. First things first, what are the common words and phrases that are used in highly shared headlines? So some of the top ones: list post, you, your, free giveaway, how to, do it yourself, I, me, my. So on to the takeaways and findings that Garrett learned. Now, these are going to sound a little familiar now that you know some of those words. Number one, list posts are huge. So list posts are huge, and we're the most likely type of post to be shared more than 1,000 or even 100 times. Now, more interesting is that list posts only make up about 5% of the total posts actually written. Takeaway number two, use you and your a lot. Content written in the second person, the point of view you take when you're speaking directly to the reader, is far more likely to be shared than content that comes from a first person narrative. Number three, help your readers imagine a better life. Now, people really like content that helps them do something awesome, like win something for free or learn something new. We can easily see this in the frequent occurrence of words like free, giveaway, and how to. Use promising words to your readers, and that will make them more likely to share your content with others. Number four, list posts do best on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So they say some of the terms that they see a lot are thing, should, and reasons that do well. Examples of ways that you can use them: 5 things you can do to write better headlines, 4 reasons you should wash your hair every day, and 8 things every mom says to her kids. Number 5, video is most popular on the little blue network, Facebook. So Facebook's the most popular network featuring video content that frequently includes it as well in the use of the top headlines. So it might have a headline, for example, 8 things every mom says to her kids video. So that has video in the title, and video content in general is going to do well on Facebook. Now, number 6 for big sharing, Facebook and Pinterest is where it's at. Number 7, and this one is really cool. Let me keep scrolling here. So emotional headlines get shared more. Now, they were wondering, can you predict headline popularity? Now, they found this tool called the Emotional Marketing Value Headline Analyzer. Horrible name. Made available by the Advanced Marketing Institute. And you're able to see how emotional your headline is. Now, the results for the headline from the main article, we analyzed nearly 1 million headlines. Here's what we learned: ranked at 30%. Now, what they ended up finding out by using this tool on the different posts that they ran data from was that the greater the EMV score, the greater the shares. So average EMV scores for headlines over 1,000 shares, 40. For headlines at 500 shares, about, I want to say it looks like it's 28. For 100 shares, it looks like it's about 19. So based on the results, we should all be shooting for an EMV headline value of around 30 or above. Now, it seems a little wonky to put so much trust in a tool, you know, especially for headlines. That's where I do like testing of the headlines. You know, you can test 3 different headlines, see which ones get the most social shares, and then run with that one. But overall, I mean, you can't really argue with the data here, and the data seems to be pretty obvious. So if you head on over to the blog, digitaltriggers.io/FridayReload13, there's dashes in between. There's a link in the description. You can find that link to the Emotional Marketing Value Headline Analyzer. All right. Next up, we have LinkedIn making headlines. So they recently unveiled direct sponsored content for better targeting and testing. So with the rise of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube advertising platforms, I mean, we're always talking about Facebook, and Twitter and YouTube pop up a decent amount. Kind of seems like LinkedIn's a little bit left out of the party. So they released this new feature, direct sponsored content, which allows you to deliver more personalized content to specific audiences. Now, if you read that and kind of had a I don't get it moment, because I know I did, it kind of sounds like that's just standard ad offering. Here's the difference. Now, one of the big problems before was whenever you posted an ad, it would have to be posted to the company page as well. So then you're frustrating your users and you can't really split test because they're getting organic traffic. So imagine if you want to split test 5 ads. You have to hit all your followers with 5 different posts that are basically the same. I mean, that's kind of a WTF moment. No one likes that. So this new update, I consider it similar to dark or unpublished Facebook posts. So pretty cool. LinkedIn continues to grow and kind of pushes towards native advertising, and native advertising continues to take over the web. Now, sticking with the wonderful LinkedIn, we have 252,000 views from LinkedIn publishing in 1 month. So in a post originally titled 6 Content Marketing Takeaways from 30 Days of LinkedIn Publishing, Greg Ciotti, I believe, is on Convince and Convert, shares what he learned from putting LinkedIn's new publishing platform to the test. So if you haven't heard, LinkedIn has a publishing platform. There's a lot of people on LinkedIn. These articles get a lot of views. So what he did for this test was simple. Monday through Friday, he'd post 1 to 2 previously published articles of his onto the site and then gauge the response. Now, he was primarily concerned with audience quality, overall reach, and deducing which topics worked on LinkedIn. Now, the results have been excellent, though I will tell you they're a little bit skewed. He amassed over 255,000 views in a month. Now, since LinkedIn publishing is a new feature for the site, all of his results are from a starting point of 0. So he published 35 articles and ended up with 3,000 LinkedIn followers. Now, doing the math, you're at around 7,000 views per post, but one of his articles about Steve Jobs, titled Why Steve Jobs Never Listened to His Customers, got around over 200,000 views. So if you take that one out of the mix and we go with the other 34 articles, they still ended up getting an average of 1,255 views per post. He said it took him around 10 minutes to republish each post, which certainly sounds doable. So now we know these numbers. I mean, that's pretty exciting. What do you learn? Number 1, industry insights resonate more. Generally speaking, the thing to remember is LinkedIn is primarily used by people looking for industry insights. So whether they're entry level and they want to learn skills for blank or how to find a job in blank, or they're at a managerial level and they want to learn about hiring for blank or aspects of leading a great team, the content that seems to convert is industry-specific content around professional skills. All right. Now, number 2, audience quality is a major benefit in niche communities. So he mentions a surprising amount of senior executives among his readers. So, I mean, there's definitely a decent amount of entry-level people, but there's also a lot of, vice president and senior level people. So that's a big deal. I know that LinkedIn, when it comes to all the social networks, is the one with the highest average income. Now, also, it is a great place for communities that might be difficult to find or reach elsewhere. And he uses the example of over 100,000 people that are interested in construction. Where else are you going to find that? Now, lastly, he does mention that you want to publish the content on your own site first and then republish to LinkedIn. Next up, channel features. So there's different channels that you can post to or it gets suggested to, but you're only allowed to be featured on one at a time. So if you're featured in the customer experience channel and you publish another 5 articles that all go to that channel, but your first article is featured, none of these other articles will be featured, one at a time. So the way you can kind of sidestep this is by posting your content on or 2 different topics, not posting one article to 3 different topics, but doing a post in customer experience, a post in marketing, a post in hiring, kind of hedge your bets. So if they all do end up featured, you're not fighting and competing with yourself, and you're able to kind of capitalize on these different sources. Number 4, this one's a little obvious. headline and image are critical to success. Now, the reason being for that is that on the sidebar and content navigation pages, the only preview available for any article is the title and image. So headlines and images play a slightly larger role than usual. Now, number 5, always include a relevant call to action. Now, if you are from the dinosaur days of the internet, and I joke because I used to do this, there used to be e-zine articles and these other different sites. So you write an article, and at the bottom you get your author box, and in your author box is where you include your call to action, and you can get a backlink to your site. So you do the same thing here. You know, it hasn't changed. The internet's not that different. So he included a call to action within his about the author section that leads to a free guide in order to get traffic back to his site. And it's a pretty nice, pretty if I see what looks right, it's a pretty beefy little post that he's able to use here. Someone else mentioned that they got a lot of views and they didn't get a lot of traction, and upon looking at their author box, Greg noticed that they had 4 different calls to action. So he said, hey man, if you tighten that up to 1 call to action, you'll probably do a lot better. And doesn't that sound familiar from the welcome emails? All right, lastly, number 6, publish during normal work hours. We've talked a lot about best social times to publish. LinkedIn should be no different. He found the best times to post being right before work and around the 7 to 8 a.m. range, during a lunch break at 11:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., and right before leaving work at 4 p.m. Now, obviously, these are all kind of small windows of about an hour. When you factor in different time zones, yeah. So, hey, I would say maybe it depends on your community and your audience. You know, if you're writing to more of a tech community and you think everyone's going to be in San Fran, maybe you want to go with, you know, West Coast time. If you think maybe it's all fashion, probably want to go with Eastern, New York time. Maybe it's a bunch of people in Florida, want to go with Eastern time. So something always worth considering is when is a good time to publish, especially on social networks. Now, lastly, he did mention a side benefit to this all. So the side benefit of the test was that when you publish a piece that gets any kind of traction, you tend to skyrocket your profile views. So whether you're looking for career opportunities, job offers, or even getting new clients, it's a pretty good venue to put yourself out there. Now, the catch to all this, because there's always a catch, publishing is still invite only, but you can apply here. I personally applied. I hope they accept me, and I hope I can test this out and report back. What I'm really interested to see is what kind of traction I get, what kind of views I get, and what kind of clicks I get. You know, how many people can I take to a squeeze page, or how many people can I take back to my site, and what does it actually translate into? Because we can sit here and, you know, 250,000 views is nothing to shake a stick at, so to speak, but if you don't get traffic, you don't get leads, you don't get sales, I don't think it matters. Now, there's the whole branding aspect, but that's a topic for another conversation. Now, next up, we have social sells. Social proof, your key to more magnetic marketing. And the image that we have here is 50 million Elvis fans can't be wrong. So it's a big picture of Elvis, red bold headline to the top left. It's one of his records, the Elvis Gold Records, Volume 2. And it's a really horrible image of him and then a bunch of small hymns surrounding him. So social proof is well known. I hope you've heard of social proof by now and you know how well it can work. It works well for selling more. So what are the 5 different types of social proof, and how can we effectively start using social proof? The 5 different types are expert social proof, so a credible expert, such as a prominent blogger, business leader, voice of authority. Second is celebrity social proof, celebrity endorsements. The third is user social proof, user success stories and such. The fourth is wisdom of the crowd, and the fifth is wisdom of friends. So these are the 5 different ways. Here are 10 different effective social proof strategies: testimonials, ratings and reviews, influencer endorsements, badges, media logos, subscriber counts, social connections, social shares, clients, and test results. If you want to check out that post, they break down each one a little bit more. I think you kind of get the idea just with the lists, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but if you are looking to beef up your social proof, which is a good way to increase conversions and sales, check it out. Next on we have, and this is kind of our tool time. So we didn't really have too many tools that were worth mentioning this week, but this one is worth mentioning. So it's hotelwifitest.com. Pretty simple concept. It lists hotels by Wi-Fi speed and allows you to search within those results. They collect this data through different users, and some hotels they estimate it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm bringing my laptop if I'm traveling, and most likely I might be traveling for work. Slow internet is horrible, literally horrible. I mean, the only thing worse would be if there was no internet, but slow internet's terrible. So this handy little app can save you from the horrible woes of slow internet. So maybe you're planning a conference or an event of your own, or you're going somewhere for an event. Find out where someplace has good internet so you can work on the go. Because even if you only need to put in, check your email real quick and things of that nature, slow internet is going to slow you down bad and frustrate you. Next up, we have the month Google shook the SERPs. So Dr. Peter J. Myers posts on Moz blog recapping what's happened in the past month to search engine results. Now, if you've been following along, we've covered the disappearance of authorship photos and video thumbnails. Video thumbnails have dropped, whereas the authorship photos have disappeared. This whole Google Pigeon update has really hit local SERPs is very hard as well. And they've seen a sharp decline in local pack results. Now, initially, Moz saw a 60% drop, but the shakeup was actually so great that it broke the method that they were using to track it. So instead, after kind of figuring out how to measure it, they saw it was a drop of about 23%, which seems more accurate. Now, that being said, certain search results lost the pack while other searches gained them. So some that lost the pack for now, jobs, cars for sale, apartments, cruises. Some that gained it, Skechers, mortgage, apartments for rent, web designer. Now, you might be wondering, why do these local packs matter? Now, first off, what is a local pack? It's when you do a search, typically a local search, and the map pack results show up. So I have an example below in the picture. I will just kind of read it out to you for those of you on the audio. I Googled Fort Lauderdale web design. And to the right is the Google map, and there's on this screen 5 different listings of companies and their Google reviews and their phone numbers. Now, the reason why this is important is because it works extremely well for businesses. Now, for one of our sites, we've been getting almost all of our calls from the local map packs. Now, here's an example. I blurred out the site, and this is an example of us receiving 212 calls in the month of July. So that's a pretty big deal. I mean, we're doing extremely well with it, and if it's kind of going away, that's going to hurt us. But it ain't all bad. Now, apparently some local SEOs have seen local packs actually increase, but for smaller packs. So the size 3, so say they'll have 3 different listings, has increased. Before it was at 34%, and now it's at 50%. Whereas most of the other ones have kind of stayed about the same, with the exception of the 7 one, which has gone from 46% to about 32%. So kind of means, hey, it's probably for the better, actually, because more map pack results, even if it's only 3, is going to help us out tremendously, or at least people that know how to utilize it. Now, time will tell. We will see what happens in the long term. But one thing that has been crushing for us is video ranking. All kinds of SEO ranking videos, especially local. I'm sure you've heard about it. And I know you might be thinking, didn't he just said video thumbnails went away? Well, of course, there's a trick. There's always a trick, right? So if you want to, you can grab our free cheat sheet on video SEO ranking systems, and that will help you dominate. Um, it's a pretty crazy link for that one. I actually don't have a quick link, so you will have to head on over to the website to find that one. I apologize. But check that out if you are having trouble with some of this and you kind of looking for an answer. Now, next up, we have 5 things to do after you launch your online course or program. Now, I got to say, this guy, David Garland, every single post of his, and I could be wrong, so I'll say that, but it seems like on his blog, he only posts something when it goes back in. It's basically just a native ad. I mean, I read through this whole post, I'm pulled in, and at the end, he's selling me on Evergreen launch funnels, and I want to buy. So, anyways, back to the post itself. 5 things to do after you launch your online course or program. So you've launched your product. So much focus is on product launches nowadays that a lot of times the products get pushed to the shelf afterwards. Now, David Garland focuses on what to do after the launch with this post. So the first thing, had to take a sip of water there, is to document everything. Document the entire launch process. Right after launching is one of the best times to do it while it's still fresh in your mind. Consider this your launch debrief, where you can learn from the data of the launch to be used next go around. Data points worth checking: which subject lines got the best response, what worked during the launch, what didn't work so well. And if I was giving myself advice for my next launch, what would my big tips be? He also likes to open up a blank WordPressing document and break into categories: emails, what date they were sent, subject lines, sales, all the sales numbers, conversion rate, percentage of people who went through the sales funnel and bought, and also percentage of people who saw the sales page and bought, things that went well, things that didn't go so well, and then notes and reminders for last time. I kind of call it a launch debrief. Makes sense. Number 2, get your testimonials on. Now, right after people buy your course, they're super excited. So make sure to go through Facebook and Twitter and see if they're writing anything about your course. Screenshot it, save it for later. Also, he likes to set up an autoresponder series to check in with his customers. So at 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, he checks in with them. Oftentimes, he hears back great success stories, which can be the beginning of a testimonial. Now, also, one final big tip is to take a logical guess as to how long it's going to take someone to finish and implement. That's the key. Implement your course and write it on your calendar from your launch date. Let's say it is 55 days. Then make sure to send an email on that date to your customers saying you want to hear about their successes and stories. And of course, you will promote them and link them up to a little survey. Pick the best ones and interview them and ask for a testimonial. I'm going to take this a step further. On that day 55 email, you know what you're going to get back? You're going to get back, hopefully, to how people are succeeding with it and doing well. So that's the obvious one. You're going to see what's holding people back, and you're going to see what they want more of. So when you find out what's holding people back, now you know, okay, this is what my course is missing, and if I can add this into it, then it'll really be bulletproof. And you should ideally see people that are like, hey, I'm having all this success, but now I need this. Now you know what the upsell is, or potentially a new course. Boom. Now, number 3, JV and affiliate fun time. So if you didn't launch with affiliates, now is the time. So launch it to your list in order to prove that it's a winner. Once you're getting the numbers that you can share, it's a great time to tap into your relationships if you know someone who has an audience that will actually want to promote your course. So cold calling people to promote your course, probably not the best move. You want to leverage relationships you already have and people that have an audience that match your course. If he does video marketing and you have a video tool, maybe you guys could do some business together. But if you've never seen it before in your life, it's probably not going to happen. So networking is key, but I don't have to tell you guys that. Next up, plan your next live promotion. So live promotion is just like it sounds. It happens on and for a specific date and time. So it's not necessarily a sale or anything. It's just a new promotion to bring in new customers. So an example live promotion is you come up with a killer webinar technique or topic that you're going to do live on a certain date. Drive as much traffic as you can a week or two before to the webinar registration page, including non-buyers who are on your email list, because maybe they're ready now. You host the webinar live and you sell your course at the end. You keep the card open for a few days after your webinar and you follow up with the attendees. Now, how often should you do this? He recommends at max 4 times per year for the live to your list. He mentions that Amy Porterfield does it 2 times a year with her flagship course. Or you can do it once a year to create a frenzy, but then you really put your eggs in one basket. And then number 5, which I kind of wonder how that works with the whole live event one, but number 5 is create a killer evergreen sequence and drive as much traffic as you can to it. So this is one of the, so I actually feel kind of good. For some reason he misspelled his headline, so I misspelled my headline. He said, as you can do it. So as to it, as you can to it. Anyways, this is the biggest one and probably the most overlooked one in internet marketing, is an evergreen sequence in a nutshell. Instead of it being live, time to a date, a time of you being there, is automated and based on when a prospect does something. So extremely simple example, you create a free PDF report, 5 dog tricks you can teach your pup in 2 hours or less, put it on a landing or squeeze page, drive as much traffic as possible to it, to your list, Facebook ads, promo partners. Once someone opts in for the PDF report, it creates a trigger that this person is probably interested in your complete 90 dog trick blueprint course. Number 5, you automatically send them a few more pieces of free content, then take them through their own private launch of your course where they can buy. Now, another cool thing about Evergreen he mentions is, unlike a live launch, you can tweak and test things as you go along. You can try different emails, opt-ins, etc., because it's not tied to a specific date, which is awesome. Now, Evergreen Funnels is the key to a truly automated model where you can be out doing whatever it is you like to do, and the sales still come in every week. Next up, we have a study, how retargeting can supercharge a Facebook ad campaign. So, AdRoll ran a study that showed by using both Facebook Exchange and website custom audiences, the CPM of newsfeed ad impressions on mobile was 57% lower than desktop and garnered a 10% higher click-through rate. It also led to a 61% lower cost per click for newsfeed ads on mobile compared to desktop. Now, there are other 2 key findings that I thought were most important. When the advertisers studied added mobile into an existing web and desktop newsfeed ad campaign, clicks rose by 29%. As a complementary channel, mobile newsfeed ads added an average of 3.8% incremental conversions to an existing retargeting mix of web and desktop newsfeed. That being said, I still can't help but wonder how important it is to have the Facebook Exchange network. Now, it does have these much, kind of higher level things, dynamic creative, for example, real-time bidding, and all these different things. But I still wonder. I think it's one of those things. It's really just, it depends how much you spend on Facebook. If you're one of the big boys, you should be using Facebook Exchange as well as website custom audiences. If you're still getting started, website custom audiences are awesome, and just get started with that. Don't overthink it. Don't over worry about it. Now, our last tip, and we have Super Mario here jumping out of a pipe. So pipes leads pipeline. Get it? Not my joke, for the record. 32 clever lead generation ideas for your next marketing campaign by Unbounce. So consider this a source of mega inspiration from Unbounce for all things lead generation. I'm going to tell you guys some of the different categories, and I mean, if you need some inspiration, check this post out, but I'm not going to go through 32 different ideas right now. So you can they talk about optimizing your landing page for lead generation, content marketing, social media, offline tips, and using referrals and reviews for lead generation. So that will close us out. I hope everyone enjoyed the Friday Reload. Let me know which article you liked the most. Hit me on Twitter by tweeting @digtrig, so DIGTRIG. And let me know. Talk to me. Chat with me. I've been very heavy on the Twitter. Hope to release a Twitter case study for you guys pretty soon. We're trying a few different things and seeing what works. It is a pretty big social network last time I checked, and they still have organic reach. But anyways, thanks for joining me. Thanks for jumping on. I don't think there'll be any surprise podcasts this weekend, so we will see you guys again on Tuesday. Enjoy your weekend.